Dad nodded without looking up. Can't keep steady work. The words landed like they always did. Quiet. Final. I didn't defend myself. I didn't explain. I kept decorating the tree, fixing a crooked ornament, straightening lights that didn't need fixing. My hands moved because my chest couldn't. Behind us, the TV hummed through holiday noise, laughter, commercials, snowy jingles. Then the sound shifted, sharper, urgent. A voice cut through the room. Breaking news, everyone froze. The mystery tech founder has finally been identified. And before my name was spoken, I knew the truth was about to enter the room. My name is Charlotte. I'm in my early 30s, and according to my family, I've been figuring things out for far too long. From the outside, we look like the kind of family people envy. Warm house in a big city, holiday dinners that start early and last too long, matching plates that only come out in December. My mom prides herself on traditions. My dad believes in routines. My older brother is the proof in their eyes that those things work. He did everything right. College, stable career, promotions, the kind of life that makes my parents relax when they talk about the future. Whenever relatives visit, his name comes up first. His job, his plans, his next step. And then there's me. I took a different path, one that doesn't fit neatly into their vocabulary. I work from my laptop. I travel when I need to. I don't clock in or out. There's no title they recognize, no building they can point to and say, "That's where she works." To them, that means uncertainty, risk, failure waiting to happen. I've tried explaining. God, I've tried. I've talked about projects, about systems we were building, about payments coming in contracts, moving forward late nights that weren't panic, but purpose. Every time the conversation would drift, my mom would ask if I'd thought about something more reliable. My dad would mention someone's daughter who just got hired somewhere solid. My brother would joke that at least I had flexibility. Eventually, I learned the pattern. The more I explained, the smaller they heard me. So I stopped. At family gatherings, I learned to answer questions vaguely. I learned to smile and say I was busy. I learned that if I didn't give details, they couldn't dismiss them one by one. Christmas was the hardest. It magnified everything. The comparisons, the concern disguised as disappointment, the quiet assumption that I was the problem they were all trying to solve. That night, as I stood by the tree, I could feel it pressing in on me again. The weight of being the daughter who made everyone uneasy, the one who didn't fit the script they understood. They thought they were worried about me. What they didn't realize was that their certainty about my failure had already cost them something far more important, and they were about to find out. Dinner dragged on in that polite, suffocating way only family dinners can. Plates clinked. Someone refilled a glass. The tree lights blinked like they were trying to distract me. So my mom said, folding her napkin a little too carefully, "Have you heard back from anyone yet?" I knew what she meant. I always did. "I'm not applying anywhere right now," I said evenly. My brother laughed under his breath. "Still doing the flexible thing. It's not a phase," I said quietly. Dad set his fork down. He didn't raise his voice. He never had to. "Charlotte, you can't keep living like this. Can't keep steady work and expect things to just work out." He nodded once like the matter was settled. That nod hurt more than the words. Mom reached across the table and slid a small wrapped box toward me. "We got you something practical this year." Inside was a leather folder. Clean, professional, the kind you bring to interviews. "For when you're ready," she added quickly. "First impressions matter." I thanked her. Because that's what you do when your family is trying to help, even when it feels like they're quietly burying you alive. Then Dad pulled out an envelope. "We know money's probably tight," he said. "This should help with bills, just until you land something stable." The check inside was more than generous, more than necessary. I pushed it back across the table. "I don't need this." My brother raised an eyebrow. "Pride won't pay rent." "I'm not being prideful," I said. "I'm being honest." Mom sighed. "You always say that, but we never see anything concrete." That was it, right there. The sentence they'd been circling all night. They needed proof. Something external, something official, something that didn't come from me. I looked down at my hands. I'd started twisting the edge of a napkin without realizing it. I let go, stood up, and went back to the tree. I fixed an ornament that wasn't crooked, straightened lights that were already straight. Because if I stayed at that table one more second, I was going to say something I couldn't take back. Behind me, the TV kept running. Holiday fluff. Background noise. Then the tone changed. Sharp. Serious. "Can we turn that down?" my brother said. But no one moved. The announcer's voice cut through the room, calm and urgent at the same time. Something about technology, about a company most people had never heard of but suddenly cared about. I felt my phone vibrate in my pocket. Once. Then again. A message from my partner. Short. Apologetic. Urgent. I didn't open it. I didn't have to. Because in that moment, standing by the tree while my family sat behind me, convinced they were watching my life fall apart, I understood something with terrifying clarity. This wasn't concern. This was control disguised as love. And the truth they refused to hear from me was about to arrive without my permission. I stayed by the tree longer than necessary. Long enough for the room behind me to fall into that uneasy quiet where everyone pretends nothing just happened. My mom cleared her throat. My dad stacked plates. My brother checked his phone like he needed proof the world still existed outside this conversation. No one apologized. No one took the check back. That was the moment something inside me finally went still. I used to think silence was weakness, that if I didn't explain myself clearly enough, patiently enough, people would fill in the blanks with their worst assumptions. For years, I tried to control the narrative, tried to walk them through my choices, tried to make my life sound reasonable enough to earn their trust. Standing there staring at a glass ornament reflecting my own face back at me, I realized how pointless that had been. They didn't misunderstand me. They had already decided who I was. To them, I was the daughter who couldn't commit, the one who took risks they didn't approve of, the loose thread in an otherwise tidy family story. Explaining myself only gave them more material to pull apart, so I stopped. I didn't go back to the table. I didn't argue. I didn't offer one last explanation or defend my decisions like I'd done so many times before. I let them sit with the version of me they were comfortable believing in. Behind me, the TV volume crept up again. Not enough for anyone to comment, just enough to fill the space where conversation had died. The announcer's voice was clearer now, less cheerful, more deliberate. Something about a rapidly growing tech company, about systems changing how decisions were made, about numbers that didn't sound small. My phone buzzed again, then again. I could feel it through the fabric of my pocket like a pulse. I knew what it meant. I'd known for hours this day might come. I just never expected it to arrive like this. In my parents' living room, with a half-decorated tree between us and an unopened check on the table. For a brief second, fear flickered through me. Not fear of being exposed. I'd made peace with that possibility long ago. It was fear of what exposure would do to this room, to these people, to the fragile balance we'd been pretending still existed. Then the fear passed. Because the collapse had already happened, it just hadn't been acknowledged yet. Whatever came next wasn't something I could control anymore. And for the first time in years, that felt like relief. I stayed where I was, hands resting on the branches as the announcer's voice sharpened, and the room slowly began to sense that something was shifting. They still thought they were watching my life unravel. They had no idea they were seconds away from realizing how wrong they'd been. The TV volume jumped on its own like someone had sat on the remote. Breaking news, the announcer said, his voice suddenly stripped of warmth. A rapidly growing healthcare technology company has just confirmed the identity of its previously anonymous founder. Everyone froze. My mom turned first, wet the screen, cut from holiday graphics to a newsroom desk. Red banners, serious faces, the kind of tone that makes your stomach tighten before you even understand why. For years, the announcer continued. The company's leadership remained private. Tonight, that changes. I didn't move. My hands rested against the tree branches, needles pressing lightly into my palms. I felt grounded, anchored, like the floor had finally decided to hold. The camera switched to a graphic. A name blurred, a silhouette. My brother leaned forward. "This is that company people keep talking about, right?" My dad frowned. "The one hospitals use." The announcer nodded on screen as if answering them. The platform analyzes patient data in real time, helping care teams predict complications and allocate resources more effectively. Hospitals using the system report measurable improvements in outcomes. Numbers appeared, rounded, clean, impossible to ignore. My mom's mouth fell open. Those numbers, that's huge. The screen shifted again. Tonight we can confirm the founder and primary owner is Charlotte. Silence slammed into the room. The tree lights blinked. Red, green, red, green. My mom turned slowly like she was afraid the movement might break something. Charlotte. My dad stared at the screen, then at me, then back at the screen. That's your name. Yes, I said. It was the first word I'd spoken in minutes. It landed softly. No drama, no victory lap. The announcer kept going. According to release statements, Charlotte started the company several years ago with a small team scaling it quietly while maintaining strict privacy. Today, the company works with hundreds of healthcare providers nationwide. More numbers, contracts, payments, impact. My brother stood up. Wait, this can't be. It's me, I said again. I'm the founder. My mom shook her head, laughing once, sharp and breathless. No, that doesn't make sense. You said you were working, I said. I said I was working. The screen cut to footage of a hospital hallway, nurses moving with purpose, a doctor speaking directly to the camera. This technology changed how we make decisions, he said. We're seeing fewer complications, fewer emergency interventions. It's saving lives. The word hung there. Saving lives. My dad sank into his chair. He looked smaller somehow, like gravity had finally noticed him. How long, he asked quietly. Several years. My mom's voice cracked. Why didn't you tell us? I looked at the envelope on the table, the check still half visible. I tried. The TV displayed another graphic. Company growth. Head count. Offices listed by city, not address. Numbers rounded but still overwhelming. My brother pulled out his phone, fingers flying. This is everywhere, every network, every site. His wife covered her mouth. They're saying the system helped reduce mortality rates by double digits. I nodded once. That's what the data shows. The announcer returned to the screen. Industry analysts estimate the company's value in the low billions, with Charlotte retaining a majority ownership stake. My mom made a sound that was somewhere between a gasp and a sob. Billions! I turned to face them fully now. The tree at my back. The room finally looking at me instead of past me. Yes, no apology, no explanation, just truth. My dad rubbed his face with both hands. We gave you money, he said hoarsely. We tried to help you with bills. I know. We told you to look for something stable. I remember. My brother swallowed hard. You let us think you were struggling. I told you I wasn't, I said. You didn't believe me. That's not fair, my mom said weakly. Isn't it? I asked. My voice stayed calm. That surprised me. Every time I talked about my work, you changed the subject, or told me to be careful, or suggested something safer. The TV played on, but no one was watching it anymore. You needed proof, I continued, not from me, from someone else, from a screen, from numbers you recognized. My mom's shoulders shook. I thought I was protecting you. I know I said. But you were protecting an idea of me, not who I actually am. My dad looked up, eyes wet. You built all this. And we treated you like a problem to fix, I finished. No one argued. The room felt different now, the air heavier but cleaner, like a storm had passed through and taken something rotten with it. I'm not angry, I said, and I meant it. I was, for a long time. But tonight isn't about that. Then what is it about? My brother asked. Boundaries, I said. Respect. Trust. I walked over to the table and picked up the envelope. I held it out to my dad. I don't need this, and I don't need advice unless I ask for it. He nodded immediately. Of course. Of course. I need you to believe me, I said. Not because a TV told you to, but because I'm your daughter. My mom stood and crossed the room, stopping a step away like she wasn't sure she was allowed closer. I'm so sorry, she whispered. I was wrong. I met her eyes. I know. Can you forgive us? She asked. I didn't answer right away. The TV announcer was wrapping up now, talking about what this meant for the future of healthcare, for innovation, for leadership. I took a breath. Not tonight, I said honestly. But we can start somewhere better than where we were. My dad stood too. You're right, you always were. I nodded once. That was enough. Outside, a car slowed, then another. Phones buzzed on the table, lighting up with messages no one dared to read yet. The truth had entered the room, loud, uninvited, impossible to ignore. And for the first time, no one was asking me to prove myself. No one touched the TV remote. The news kept playing, but it had lost its power now. The damage had already been done. And so had the truth. My mom was the first to speak again. Her voice was softer than I'd ever heard it. I don't know how we missed this. You. All of it. You didn't miss it, I said. You just didn't trust it. That landed harder than anything I could have said in anger. My dad nodded slowly. We thought stability looked one way. We were wrong. Yes, I said. You were. There was no satisfaction in saying it, just relief. My brother cleared his throat. I spent years thinking I was the responsible one. Turns out I was just louder. I almost smiled. I don't need an apology tour, I told them. I need things to be different. No more checking my life against a timeline you understand. No more advice disguised as concern. And no more assuming I'm failing just because I'm quiet. My mom wiped her eyes. I can do that. We can. We'll see, I said gently. Trust takes time. The envelope with the check disappeared into my dad's jacket pocket. The interview folder stayed unopened on the table, suddenly looking ridiculous. Outside headlights swept across the living room wall. Somewhere down the street, people were already talking, speculating, deciding who I was now. Inside this house, something else had shifted. I wasn't the problem anymore. And for the first time, I didn't feel the need to explain who I was to anyone in that room. That night didn't fix everything. It wasn't supposed to. But it did give me something I'd waited years for space to breathe without being judged. Here's what I learned. Respect should come before recognition. If someone only believes in you after the world applauds, that belief is already late. If you've ever been misunderstood by the people closest to you, you're not alone. Share your story in the comments. And hit subscribe. There are more truths like this waiting to be told.